Hello Crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I'm so happy you're joining me again today on my YouTube channel for another video. I've been away for a while. I've been very busy with new releases for Reverse Confetti and Crafty Meraki, which is coming up on Monday. So I've made a ton of videos on other channels and I haven't really had time to make videos for my own. I made this card a while ago though, so I figured I'd edit the video and give it to you guys over the weekend. I am very sorry it's overexposed again in the beginning of the video. It will settle in a second after I'm done stamping. I am using the Mice Day to Celebrate stamp set by My Favorite Things, and I'm stamping 2 images in My Favorite Things Extreme Black ink. This is a alcohol marker friendly ink. So that's what I'm stamping first on my Clairefontaine DCP 250 GSM cardstock. You know the drill by now. I am leaving the stamps in the MISTI so I can stamp them again later and emboss them, or emboss the image. But first I'm going to color, because you can't really color after you've embossed with alcohol markers. So I'm using my alcohol markers. These are budget markers, which means that the numbers don't make sense, but the coloring is still fun. They color as well as any markers, so it's fine to use these. I just don't think the numbers make sense, so it's a little bit harder to find good color combinations. You have to try and swatch your colors. I recommend not just swatching individual colors. I have never really found much use out of that. I would like, if I have time ever, I would like to make a swatch card with swatches of color combinations. So 3 markers to make a blue combination, things like that. Just color combination swatches seem a lot more useful than individual swatches for these markers. And this was the first time using this color combination for me, not just the purples or whatever, but I mean purple, mint, and teal together. And I actually have a video coming up on Monday with another card using that color combination, because I'm slightly obsessed. I really love mint, teal, and purple, turns out. And I love this little mouse from My Favorite Things. And I figured the gray would work really well with this cool color scheme. So once the images are colored, I am putting this piece of paper back in my MISTI, and I am stamping the images again with Versafine Onyx black ink. That means I can emboss this because this is a pigment ink, so it stays wet for a very long time. Be careful of smudging it. And yeah, I can just sprinkle on some clear gloss superfine embossing powder by Wow and heat set that. The reason I do this extra step is because if you color over embossing or embossed lines with alcohol markers, you wipe away the embossed outline. It kind of dissolves because of what's in the alcohol markers, and it can actually clog up your nib of the alcohol marker. So it's not great for your marker, and it ruins your embossed outline anyway, so there's no point in risking your marker. For my background, I am doing some spotlight stenciling. I started with spotlight ink blending, but I always planned to put the stenciling on top because I really wanted to use this Party Time stencil by Crafty Meraki for this card. It just fits the vibe of the birthday card perfectly. So I'm just blending on some mint ink by Pink Fresh Studio. I am using a blending brush for that and some really smooth cardstock. This is again Clairefontaine DCP 250 GSM cardstock. And then I'm just adhering that temporarily to my ink blending mat, which is really just a laminated sheet of white cardstock. And then I can put that stencil on top and add some aquamarine ink from Pink Fresh Studio as well. I die cut that panel out with the Wonky stitched rectangles by My Favorite Things, and then I can adhere a piece of cardboard on the back of it. And this is great for adding dimension to your cardstock and without adding too much weight, because it's corrugated cardboard. That means it's not entirely full, so it's a lot cheaper to post. I am adding a frame. This is the Mama Elephant Deco oval frame or oval deco frame. I'm not actually sure. It both sounds right. So I am stacking 3 of these together, just big white cardstock, and I'm stacking them together with liquid adhesive. I'm using the Barely Art Precision Craft Glue, and then I can layer that on top of my card as well. I love to frame little images on my cards because it makes a really quick card. Frame dies are probably my most used dies in my stash, apart from the basic rectangle dies, because they make it so easy to make a layout. I really love using frames instead of making a full-on scene and filling an entire card. This just makes the area you have to work with a little bit smaller, and it's a little bit easier to make a card. I'm adding that mouse on some foam tape, and I also added a sentiment. This is from Honeybee Stems, from the Inside Birthday Messages stamp and die set, and I made a bunch of these beforehand. I have a ton of those sitting on my desk to pull out whenever I need a sentiment. I am adding a bunch of Majestic Confetti by Studio Katia. I'm filling up the entire frame, basically making it a not shaker card and adding a couple of sequins outside of the frame as well. And having sentiments prepared like that is the only way I can make sure I sometimes add a sentiment on a card. Usually I forget about the sentiment, or I don't really want to take up space on my card with a sentiment, but when there are so many sitting on my desk, I feel guilty for not using them. So I am getting better at actually putting sentiments on my cards. And I really love how this birthday card turned out. So much sparkle from the confetti. And I love that stencil by Crafty Meraki as well. The mouse is obviously extremely adorable. I have had the stamp set for ages, and that was my issue with it. I thought I had to make a full-on scene card with it. It has so many elements that just go together and don't really work on their own. But I figured this mouse dancing in the confetti would be perfect on its own. So a quick card today to apologize for not really posting as much. I am going to try to get back to a more regular schedule from now on. Like I said, there have been a bunch of new releases to work with for me, and I usually post those videos on other people's channels. So I will try to post more videos here. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for those. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.